Hello everyone, welcome to this global GEG broadcast. We'll be making a start shortly, and while we're waiting for everyone to arrive, why not head into the chat, let us know who you are, where you're from, your Twitter handle, and if you've got any questions that you'd like us to answer during the course of this evening, let us know there as well. Also, if you haven't already done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button to make sure you stay up to date with all of the events being organised by us at Global GEG. We'll be making a start really soon. Thanks for joining us.
Hey everyone,
Whoa.
We made it, our very last session of boot camp. So welcome and thank you all so much for joining us. We're gonna get started by just introducing ourselves. My name is Becky Calling. I'm in Southern California. My Twitter is @TechWithBecky, and I'm also one of the SoCal GEG leaders. And we'll go to Stacy next.
Hi, I'm Stacy Klein. My Twitter is @StacyKTweets, and I'm a Google certified trainer and a teacher in the Santa Ana Unified School District. I teach coding and STEM and robotics, and I get to do Google training in my district. And then I'm also a co-leader with the amazing Becky and Karen Lagalat for the brand new GEG SoCal. Please join us next week on July 9th for our launch.
Patrick?
I'm Patrick Hausman. I am a supervisor of instructional technology in Northern Virginia, and I am also the founder of a nonprofit called Unison EDU, which was my Google Innovator project that is all about helping schools with the professional learning needs that they have at either no cost or a greatly reduced cost.
Thanks. And we'll come down to you, Rick. We'll go in that order.
Okay, my name is Rick Ballou. I'm a Google certified trainer and innovator. I'm the leader of GEG Minnesota Metro area. I am in Minnesota for GEG Minnesota Metro area. I teach 5th grade instrumental music, which is a fancy way to say I teach beginner band. And yeah, let's go to Patty.
Hey guys, I'm Patty Whittington and I'm from South Louisiana. I'm also a Google trainer and I teach 5th grade math, but I'm also the school's technology coordinator.
Yay!
I'm Chris Armijo. I'm an education technology specialist in a small district in central New Mexico. I'm also a Google certified trainer and innovator and a co-leader for GEG New Mexico.
All right, and we're gonna get started with just going around and sharing one tip that we have on one of the apps for Google that were covered during the last bootcamp session. So we'll go in the same order.
Yay! Are you going to start, Becky, or do you want me to start?
You're up, Stacy.
Awesome. I'm going to talk about Google Keep. We don't think that there's an actual practical portion of the test, but then Google didn't call me on the phone and tell me that. So be prepared to have Google Keep questions on the exam, on the multiple choice questions. Google Keep should be your new best friend because you can share those keeps with across your PLN and even in your family. You can, my tip for Google Keep is geotag those, because when I'm driving by good old Trader Joe's, and they did not pay me for this endorsement, it tells me, ding, your Google Keep has something on the list. So it has so much depth that just jump in on Google Keep. Patrick. Yay.
Okay, so I drew the straw for Google Classroom, and there's a ton of different things that I could offer for Google Classroom, but I'll touch base on one of the most recent things. And because of how recent it is, it probably won't be on the test. But know that Google Meet is now incorporated into Google Classroom. You need to go through your settings to turn that on, but it does inherit those good educational pieces as far as until the teacher is on the landing page, that Meet is not live, and as long as you're the last person leaving, your students cannot get back into it. But a big point there with the Meet is if you're on the landing page as a teacher, that Meet is live. You don't actually have to click the join for it to be live. So know that, and I'll throw one extra bonus one in. I'm going to cheat slightly and say, remember that emojis fit like anywhere in Classroom as well, and they can be used really nicely to draw attention to different aspects of assignments and things.
All right, Rick, you're up.
I'm going to talk about sites. Is it possible to share my screen, Stacy?
Yes, absolutely.
My main thing is about sites and the idea of sharing. A big part of level 1, the certification and the practical things, especially with level 1, is all about sharing. You come here, let's say you've just created a new site. Let's say that's part of the test, for example. You're going to come here and want to share, but you just, why is it gray? It won't work. Until you name the site, you can't share. Once you name the site, you can add people and share and add editors and stuff like that. But until there's a site name, you can't do it. That's it for me.
Perfect. All right. Patty, you want to share next?
Yes. So I want to share about YouTube. Can I also go ahead and share my screen quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Is that Chris asking? Sorry, Patty. I don't see your screen.
That's Patty.
Have you shared it, Patty?
I'm about to right now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Good job.
All right. So can y'all see my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So we all know when we are using YouTube to search any kind of content, there are millions and millions of hits that are going to come up because everybody and anybody can post to YouTube. So one good way to filter out exactly what you're looking for is to click on the filter button right here. And then you can filter it usually through channel and playlist would be a good idea. That way you know they're grouped into the content that you're looking for. So definitely filtering out.
Perfect.
And that's all I have.
Okay.
Chris, take it away.
Okay. Stacy, could you share my screen, please?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just going to give you a quick tip about groups. Google Groups recently underwent a complete user interface change to make it a lot more user-friendly and intuitive. But sometimes when there's brand new updates, we don't know for sure what interface you're going to end up seeing when you log into the test. And so this is what the new interface looks like. And it has a create group button up in the upper left-hand corner that has kind of the Google colors with a little plus on it. That's the new interface, and that is the user-friendly interface. The old interface looks like this, and the create group button is red on it. This interface is just a little bit trickier to work with, but if you get in there and would rather work with the user-friendly interface, you can go to this blue button on the left that says visit new groups, and it'll change that interface for you to be the new one. And that's my tip.
Yay. Awesome. And before we take it away with questions, there's a few shout outs we need to give. We have in the chat, Chris Bradley passed his level 1. So he found out today. Congratulations.
Right.
We also have Crystal, and I'm looking for your last name because it's not Crystal Hammer. So congratulations. She also passed her level 1. If you passed your level 1 or you found out you recently passed it, will you throw that in the chat? We want to celebrate you. And also feel free to give some tips or things to others in the chat to let them know you don't have to win. Obviously, don't share questions that you got, but just some tips if you can. And the final celebration is that Rick is giving away his dog, Cora, as a prize for the leaderboard. So, like, that's amazing.
I got your back, Rick. The real answer.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure my wife is going to say no. I'm cool with it, but not the wife.
All right, we're not doing that.
Or the kids, I guess. They like her too.
Awesome. So we're going to dive into the questions now. There is a link if you want to ask questions. You can also just throw them into the chat. Oh, and there's all our little Bitmojis to say hello. Oh, you get a happy hour code. So throw in happy hour.
That was actually, I'm not trying to go too fast for you point catchers, but that was this morning, so you definitely can use that as well. But
Oh,
you
this
might be
seems like
like
a right now.
yay, you might be going, Stace, we saw that. We want to see the new one. The competition's tight in that competition leaderboard. So that was the earlier bonus points. Share, glow, and grow. Q&A document. Trying to not go too fast. And then I'll put the away. Oh, feedback.
Let's go back.
There we go. There's your code.
Okay, perfect. TPS reports.
Excellent Office Space reference.
I need to watch Office Space.
Oh, it's a classic.
On that note, we're going to share my screen and throw your questions in the chat, and we'll go around and answer some of these questions.
You didn't know this was the last session is actually a happy hour comedy hour. We've all had 4 margaritas and we are very funny.
Oh, yeah. All
That's
right.
the first bald-faced lie of the evening. Find the other ones.
First question, and whoever wants to answer this, go for it. But do you have to use your personal Gmail during the test? I'm just going to start there. Do you have to use your personal Gmail?
I'm shaking my head behind the Chiron there. No, you don't.
Oh, behind the Chiron. I'm sorry. I know what Chiron means now.
My suggestion is to sign up for it with your personal account, because if you leave your district, that badging and certification isn't going to follow you because it is attached to your email address. But as far as when you're taking the test itself, ProctorU and or Criterion creates your personal instance of a Google G Suite account for you to do the test on. Anyone else want to say stuff?
Yeah, it also asked when they get that account information. So after you get registered, it does take just a little bit of time to actually get all of that set up in the background with that new account information. And within usually 24 hours, they'll send you your credentials that you'll use on the actual test.
Yay.
Next
and one quick tip that they really mean use your personal one, because we have so many sad stories about people wondering which one they use for their test. So use your personal one, keep the same one all the way through your whole experience, trainer, innovator, whatever. Try to stick with that one email.
Mm-hmm. How well do you need to know Sheets?
I'll take that one. I'm the kind of person you can ask Becky, because we're learning a lot about each other as we develop Global Gig, but I like to embrace things that are scary, and then I'm not afraid of them anymore. And so, like, I used to think Sheets would be scary, and I love Sheets. I always loved them, but still, what you're going to have to do on the test is when you do a Google form and you're getting data from your students, from your families or whatever, eventually you're going to want to look at that data. And it's only really helpful if you can look at that data in the spreadsheet and kind of dig deep. And the kind of tasks you're going to have to do on the exam is very basic spreadsheet. They don't want you to do pivot tables yet. They don't want you to do add-ons yet. So we're talking maybe sorting by last name, maybe sharing this with a colleague, naming the sheet, things like that. Actually, if you start with a form, it'll be already named the name of your form. But try not to panic. Look into your Google Education Center and see the kind of skills they had you do practicing. But it's not a heavy task that you have to do. Come to see us for level 2. We'll scare you to death.
Do I need to set up a YouTube account prior to taking the exam? Patty, do you want to answer this one since you dove into YouTube?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I think this kind of piggybacks off the first question. No, you don't need to have a YouTube account set up, because when you register for the exam, like we said earlier, you're going to get a Google account that's going to be a test account that's going to be created for you.
But if you don't have a YouTube account, I would get one.
Yeah. definitely. So, you definitely want to get a YouTube account so you can practice. So you can get on there, play with all the features, see what you can do before you take the exam.
Make some playlists. Get practice making playlists.
Yeah,
No
that's
doubt.
what I was going to touch on too, because you likely will have something in that regard to playlists. And playlists, when you create your first one, if you haven't done it already, it'll tell you have to have a channel to do that. So walking through that at least once beforehand can definitely be helpful, so you're not blindsided on a test if you happen to get that scenario.
And Chris is adding some things in the chat, and we love all the collaboration. And as Google trainers, we come across this a lot. Don't forget, we've all signed an NDA. So when you're sharing and collaborating with your partners and stuff, just try to remember not brain dump material, more coaching material. So like helping people understand how many questions you had. That's awesome and stuff like that. But just remember to maybe err on the side of caution.
Cool. Next question. I registered for the exam using the ProctorU to take this. I use my personal account. Is ProctorU going to do so?
No.
Yes, it is. ProctorU is totally gone.
I told you, 50% lies.
You'll be just fine using ProctorU. You can use either one.
The thing with ProctorU, when you're using it, if you do decide to install the extension for ProctorU to your Chrome extension, then Luis Pertuz, one of our founders, has recommended being very aware that you will lose all your tabs because it's opening a secure testing environment for yourself. So little caveat there, doesn't hurt a thing, but just so you know, when your tabs disappear, that's where they went. And the other thing is, versus Criterion, ProctorU is videotaping you the entire time. You still can step away from the machine for 5 minutes or 10 minutes to go to the restroom or something, but just different strokes for different folks.
All right. Well, we'll go to that one since it's up there blocking Rick. Can I use 2 monitors during the exam?
I don't know that one. So
Yes.
I'm going to say no. Wait, yes. I mean,
I don't know why you couldn't, but I haven't. So if anyone knows in the chat, or if anyone in here knows.
Yeah, you can use 2 monitors. ProctorU, when we were transitioning, we had some, there was some early speculation that ProctorU would be closed internet, not open note, no extra devices, and that's changed. So now you can have an extra monitor, and you can have your notes, and it's open internet. Remember, the name of the game is it's not a brain dump. And you can't ask for help in the middle of it if it isn't like technical help or something. So just think about what you would want your kids to do during their exam. That's why your Google certified trainers have advocated on your behalf. Mei Ju, who takes care of our program, she's our program director, has advocated on your behalf. And it is a wonderful open format for you. But so that second monitor is okay. But always read the caveat before you start your test too. Something could change. It's the contract that you have sitting in front of you. That's what you follow when you take your exam.
I will add this because I took the test. When I took the test the first time, I did not pass because I looked up every question during the multiple choice section. You don't have that kind of time. I mean, because use your teacher brain, because I'm assuming you're probably an educator if you're here, right? So you know questions that say things like, this always is, or never, always and never are good indicators of multiple choice questions. Just take it, move on, because what you're going to spend most of your time on are the practical application things.
Yeah,
I would definitely agree. And I've always kind of told people to kind of use researching and on the fly as a last resort, get through everything you know first, and then come back to those ones that you're maybe stuck on, because before you know it, once you've gone down a rabbit hole, a lot of time has passed.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to keep going so we get through the questions. Hangout chat or Hangout work chat. Are these things that we need to know about with the exam?
No.
I like this one because it's 2 different things and you don't. And it's kind of nice because chat is still so new and Hangout's kind of being phased out. And unless anyone has heard otherwise, nah, you're good.
It's just one of those things. It's still in the teacher center, so you learn about it. And it's not a bad thing to learn about, but I don't recall it being part of the exam. I don't think I'm breaking a rule by saying that. So.
No, yeah.
Chris, you have thoughts on this?
Well, one thing I wonder is, chat is is basically replacing Hangouts. And I do think that in the multiple choice or drag and drop section, that questions about Hangouts were fair game. So I just wonder if some of those questions, not necessarily application maybe, but maybe questions might be fair game in chat. You know, just knowing kind of what some of the limits are as far as, I don't know. I'm not sure if it would be completely no, but I don't think it would be in depth if it's there. So
yeah, like you're saying. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was going to say, you're probably good with what you learned through the units. You're probably good with that working knowledge. I wouldn't spend time researching further and taking a deep dive.
yeah,
Definitely read it and answer the questions as you go through the units, but don't feel like you have to spend extra time practicing and taking a deep dive.
that seems fair. Yep.
All right, next question. And it's okay if you don't want to keep hiding brick and you don't want to show my screen. I can still just read them. But otherwise, the question
No,
is,
I like it.
I know, I do too. Is Google Tour Creator something that we need to deal with on the exam, which actually ties into a question that was just asked. Do we need is Google Earth on the exam? That's level 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
I believe most of the mapping things are level 2.
Mm-hmm. So
all the fancier bells and whistle ones, like I don't remember Science Journal being a part of it, but that's now a big part of Google. So
Yeah,
maybe
that's
level 2.
I think that would still fall under level 2 if it did end up on there.
Yep.
Any questions in docs and inserting and any equations? Docs, yes.
Docs, yes, but equations is going to go into add-ons. You're not going to really get into in the level 1 side.
Mm-mm. Yeah. So know how to use docs. And if that was your question, if you want to elaborate a little more, if you have a question within docs, we can answer that. But as far as equations go, no. All right. Here's a question. I can create an event and delete the event if it's canceled. Is there a way to keep the event on the calendar, but the title is crossed out like a strike through font showing that it's canceled? So like there are some programs where if you cancel an event, it'll stay there to show like there was something, but and it's crossed out. Who would like to take this one on?
The only time that I've seen events crossed out in Google Calendar is if you have your general calendar settings set to accept all calendar invites, and then you RSVP no, the event will still show on your Google Calendar and it will get the strikeout then. But if you are the owner of an event and you cancel it, there's no way I know of to make it still show in any way.
No.
I just went to my calendar to try. Like, there's no way in the edit. So
yeah, I mean, I guess a workaround if you really
Here's a result from Google.
Sorry, my phone thinks I'm asking Google
I love
questions.
when that happens.
All day long. I say Google a few times. Anyway, I think if you needed a workaround, you could retitle your event, put a great big all caps canceled in front of it, and it would still, you could delete the attendees and guests and stuff, and it would stay on your calendar saying canceled if you needed it. But as far as the strike through, there's no way I'm aware of.
All right. And that's something that would for sure not be on the exam. Okay. Some people are saying that they weren't able to use the second monitor on ProctorU.
ooh.
Yeah, ProctorU might be the game changer. If you know you needed to use a ProctorU, definitely go with Criterion. You're going to be able to use Criterion through the end of June of 2021. So if that's something that you feel comfortable with, I had a lot of my teachers from Santa Ana Unified. They sailed through ProctorU, no issues, and then other people, they just really liked it. It's a little bit more open on the Criterion. Exact same content, exact same monitoring. The system will pick up if there's detect something odd or something. So if you really want that second monitor, then stick with Criterion.
Mm-hmm. And
When I've run Google Bootcamps, I usually recommend people have a second device. Honestly, if you can swing it and you can have a second device, have the dedicated machine you're taking the test on, and then I just had another one over here. But I mean, if you can.
yeah. I love my second screen, but I know if I had 2 screens during the exam, I would have had 5,000 tabs open. So having just the one helped me remember to close some tabs.
Yeah, and that was a really big reason why we advocated as Google certified trainers to let you continue your open internet test, because there isn't enough time if you don't know the material to pass the exam, if you have to look everything up. And then I love what Rick shared. He proved the point. So, you know, just try not to stress too much, you know, get prepped and then just move through it, and you'll be okay.
It looks like there may have been some follow-up questions for that person that is already registered on ProctorU and wondering if they should switch to Criterion for the 2 monitors. But I don't know, you'd want to really read the fine print, because once you're registered and you've paid, I don't know that you could just switch it at this point without it counting against you as far as one of your attempts. I'm not sure about that part. I'd look into that.
Yeah, and in Criterion, if you had done that, we could have just told you to let it expire and you'd lose your $10, no big deal. But with ProctorU, it's a different system that lets you pick your time whenever. And then, like Chris was saying, just open a different, and Rick also, just open a different laptop.
If you have that option.
Yeah. Again, I don't know ProctorU's rules on that either.
There's another question that's come in that says, I've been using doc slides and forms in my classroom and teaching my students how to use them along with Classroom. For level 1, do I need to know anything other than the regular use?
No.
No. I know when I took level 1, I really didn't dig any deeper into Google Docs or slides, just because I had used it so frequently with my students. You become very familiar with it. So yeah, it's a good comfort level.
I will add in there that if you haven't, I would still work through the units in the teaching centers, so you get an idea of all the different things that could be there. Plus, in those unit and lesson checks, you get a good idea of how Google asks questions and what they feel is the right answer, and that can really help you as you go through the exam to know how things may be worded and what's coming your way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Can I use my phone as a second device? Yeah.
Currently, yes. Yeah. Just to address Raymond's really fast. Raymond, like I said, all of us are volunteers, and seriously, Google doesn't call us up and say, hey, Becky, this has changed. So, or Stace, we're going to do it this way. So don't forget, you can put in a customer service request with them. So if you tell them what it is you want to do, they may be able to fix it for you. If your test crashes in the middle, I had 2 people, one electricity went out, the other one had a medical emergency, and they happened to tell me, and I said, oh my goodness, you don't have to pay for that again. So I submitted a help desk request for them, and it was handled right away. So there is a person on the other end of the help desk. So Raymond, I would suggest asking those more complex questions and get it straight from the horse's mouth, as we would say.
All right, we are coming to the end of our time. There are a few more questions, but honestly, they're about level 2, like Google Drawing, that's level 2. I'm just looking on the sheet. If you have any last minute questions, throw them in. If you took the exam, throw a tip in there, not a question, throw a tip that you could give to others just to provide support. We would love to see that. Let's see, can you leave the link for Bonnie and Luis's extra sheets practice, please? We can get that out. I don't think any of us have that pulled up at the moment, unless Stacy, you can quickly grab that.
Not on the fly, but we'll put it in this doc, the one that Becky's sharing with you. That's our notes from this session, and so one of us will throw it in that doc.
Any last words? Let's go around and each give our last words to everyone, because this is it. We got the final 30 minutes of boot camp time. So who wants to kick us? I feel like Rick needs to kick us off with some words of encouragement. Rick, kick us off.
You can totally do this.
Yeah.
If the questions are any indication, if you're already asking these upper level questions, chances are you already know the other thing. You would know enough for level 1. The big thing is how do I phrase this? I failed first. I failed my first time, and I still became a trainer and an innovator. You can fail the test. We're not encouraging you to fail the test. Obviously, do your best, but perfect is the enemy of good, and good is Like perfect is also the enemy of done. Don't stress. You know this. You can totally do it.
I'll jump in with a couple things if I could. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
First thing, going off of what Fred said there, is copy and paste is your best friend. As you go through, if they give you title at this, make sure this is in the body of your document or your website. Copy and paste everything. If it has typos, resist with all your power the urge to be the perfectionist and fix it. Leave the typo if it's there and roll with it. And the second thing would be answer all the questions you can on your first pass through. Flag anything for review that you might not know, and come back to that after everything else is done.
Yeah, and the one quick tip, a lot of us have made study guides to help you. Every time I turn around, a Google Trainer Innovator has made some new amazing thing. So if you're wondering where you might have weak spots, just jump on the HyperDoc and just target your learning. And then I really recommend do your lesson checks. Every single one of them is like gold. You have release questions, they've given them to you, practice them, and the unit reviews until you get them through 100%. So you get your testing fitness up and you get that speed. So you get right through the multiple choice and you have 2 hours or more to do your practical. Yay. Becky, when you call it, I will pour out.
We're all still trying to give our last minutes, so I'm going to go to Chris next.
I just second everything. And really, a lot of what Patrick said, just follow the directions exactly. It doesn't have to look pretty. You have to finish in time. Just follow the directions exactly. It's a computer grading it, and that's what it's looking for.
Right, and that was my biggest takeaway from doing level 1 was don't do more than it asks for. We're all perfectionists. I wanted to center align everything, make it look like it's supposed to and organized. They're not looking for that. So I think that's why I failed the first time myself in level 1, was overthinking it.
And I'll give the very last one, which is share with us when you pass. We want to celebrate with you. So get onto social media, email, whatever it is, #GlobalGEG, and share with us, because we really do want to celebrate with you. And if you don't pass the first time, take it again. You're going to be fine. Like, fail forward. We're all with you. Thank you all so much.
Yay.
Thank y'all.
You got this.
All right.
Whoa.
Wow, that was fun.
Sorry, we're still live. One final thing, I forgot to have the feedback.
It was fun.
That was really fast.
That was fast. All right, bye again.
Bye.